Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Welcome back. Tonight, President Trump's first State of the Union address. Joining me right now, we welcome back to the show Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Welcome back to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. As I brought up, the president's first State of the Union address is tonight. I'm sure you'll be watching. What are you looking forward to hearing from the president tonight?
Well, actually, it was interesting. I actually got to go last year. This will be his second State of the Union address because he delivered one immediately after being sworn in. So I'm looking forward to hearing about what he's done and where he wants to go. And I think you'll hear kind of five major topics: jobs in the economy, infrastructure, immigration, trade, and national security, all of which he's either made significant progress or he is looking to make progress.
Well, and I know the issue of immigration and DACA is something that your office and a lot of people have been focusing on. What specifically do you want to hear from the president on the issue of DACA and immigration?
So, we threatened to sue over that. We'd already sued over DAPA, and we're successful in getting that shut down under President Obama. Well, DACA was created by President Obama as well, and it was unconstitutional. So we threatened a lawsuit against the Trump administration, and fortunately they agreed to rescind the executive order. Of course, now you have a federal judge who's trying to stop that, so we're involved with that at the U.S. Supreme Court. But what I want to know for Texans, what we care about is border security. We have obviously a huge number of crimes committed by illegals in our state that are documented, including 1,200 homicides in the last 6 years. So I want to hear about how our people are going to be protected and whether we're going to have a wall, whether it's going to be technology-driven, or whether it's going to be more border agents. I just want to know that that's going to get done.
When you hear, when you talk to other Republicans and other lawmakers, what do they want on the border? What do you think is most effective for the state of Texas? Not necessarily for everybody else, but at least here in the state of Texas, what do you think is most effective?
Well, so I think it's a combination. I've been in El Paso, and in the 1990s when George W. Bush was in office, they put a fence along the border. I think it's well over 100 miles. El Paso had one of the highest crime rates in the country. It now has one of the lowest crime rates. It's often recognized for being one of the lowest crime cities. So we know that walls and fences can work. Israel does it over there, and it works. So I don't know if we need a wall or a fence all the way along the border, but we certainly need it in certain places. And beyond that, we certainly need to use every advance in technology, and we need more border agents who are given the power to actually do their job, which they were not under the Obama administration.
Visiting with Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, you've seen and heard the news reports of the president's immigration plan, as far as we know it, which would legalize 1.8 million so-called dreamers in exchange for border security and the end of chain migration and the visa lottery system. What are your overall thoughts on that?
So I've never really stepped much into the policy debate because I used to do that as a legislator. My focus is really on two things: rule of law, which is making sure that whatever's done is done the right way constitutionally, which has not been the case under Obama. And second, I focus on, as law enforcement, on security. So my focus is on making sure that whatever they pass will ensure that Texas citizens are more secure than they have been over the last several decades. So I'm looking for anything that improves those issues.
In Texas, have we seen any issues with DACA recipients or so-called dreamers, who have, I guess, run afoul of the law to where, it's made it up to your office?
So, we don't typically deal with too many criminal matters, but what I would say is I don't think that the statistics that we keep that are held by the police, state police, are not delineated between DACA versus non. They're just it's a compilation of statistics related to illegal immigrants and the number of crimes that they've committed over the last 6 years. And we started in June of 2011. We've documented well over 600,000 crimes, from homicide to theft to just sexual assaults to all kinds of assaults. So we have a lot of crime documented. We don't necessarily have it delineated among DACA versus non-DACA.
Since the president has been in office, have numbers gone up, gone down as far as crime by illegal immigrants? How's that looked in Texas?
it looks like everything is gone. The number of border crossings, the number of crimes, it's all decreasing because he has empowered Border Patrol and Customs and Enforcement and local law enforcement to do their jobs. The Obama administration encouraged them to look the other way and basically to focus only on the criminal element. So the problem is you don't always know who the criminal element is until after they get here. So the reality is we finally have a president who is really pushing not just the rhetoric, but he's actually empowering the people that do these jobs, to do the job. And so the number of border crossings, I think, is down 60 to 70%, which means that our crime rate is going to go down as well. And so I'm excited that we have a president that is actually following through on promises he made during the campaign.
Besides immigration, what other issue do you think will impact that the president may or may not bring up? Something maybe you'd like to hear him bring up that would impact the state of Texas specifically, as far as the legal area?
Well, so much is immigration is really the legal area, and dealing with sanctuary cities. But the issue that the two issues I'm very excited about. One is jobs, his economic approach to jobs, to cutting regulations. So the cutting of regulations, for every new regulation, he's pushing forward this idea of cutting two regulations. So that is legally impacting us because there's so many regulations that we have viewed as unconstitutional and not following the law that Congress has put forward. And so the fact that he is cutting back on those, not only does it impact us from not having to sue the federal government, but it also is creating jobs, it's creating opportunity, it's creating more certainty, and I think you're going to see more jobs coming from not just inside the country, but you're going to see jobs coming from overseas as you pair that with the tax cuts.
Very good. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, before we let you go, what else is going on within your office that maybe Texans need to be paying attention to?
So we have a lot of big cases that are focused on things the legislature passed that the more liberal element of our state or our country have sued over, and they typically have taken these to federal courts where there's an Obama judge or a Clinton judge. An example would be redistricting or voter ID or even like sanctuary cities that the legislature passed. These are all issues that we're fighting either at the Fifth Circuit now or at the U.S. Supreme Court, and hopefully those courts will validate what our legislature has done because obviously they were elected by the people, and the way our Constitution works is they're the ones responsible for passing laws, not federal judges.
Well, hopefully, as those cases progress, we can get you back on the show and get an update on those because I know a lot of people will want updates on that. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, as always, we appreciate your time, and we'll be watching the State of the Union, and I know you will as well, so have a good evening.
Hey, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate you covering issues that I think are really important to our state.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton here on the Chad Hasty Show.